to our new lesson. So today we'll be learning how to automate invoice in Xero. So alright, so let's deep dive into this. So in order to access the invoice repeating tab, you click on the business tab here. From there you click on invoices. So once you click on the invoices, you click on the drop down here, you will see new repeating invoice. So you click on the new repeating invoice. Okay, so once you click on the new repeating invoice, this is the interface that will appear on your screen. So you can see here, repeat this transaction every, so you have here once, the months here, month or weeks. So you can say, okay, this invoice should be repeated twice every month, or just once every month, or it could also be once a week, or 4 times a week, or 5 times a week. So meaning that every week this invoice will be debited into as a receivable and credited as a revenue or any other credit items. Then you also have here the invoice date. This is where you can set up the invoice, the first invoice that will be issued, and then the due date. So you can say, okay, this invoice should be due after every 15 days. So meaning that whenever the invoice is automatically generated in the system, it will be due in the next 15 days. Then we are saying that then this 15 days should it be of the following month, or 15 days after the invoice date. So depending on whichever selection that you choose here, it will affect the invoice due date. Then we are saying, since it is a repeating invoice, then you may choose when should this invoice be ended, or should it be continuing into perpetuity. So assuming you want this invoice to end, let's say December 2024, so you select that, you click December, then you select the last month. So meaning that this will be the last time that this invoice will drop in the year 2024. Okay, then you also have the options to attach any contract agreement, any source document that you are using to automate this repeating invoice. So when you click on this button here, you can see here, so you can also choose the file from your library, that's your document library. So later we'll learn how to create document library. Then you can also upload documents from your computer. Okay, then let's move to the next line here. Then you can also have your options here as save as draft. So what you are saying is that, earlier we learned that you can create invoice and save it as a draft and later approve it. So when an invoice is saved as a draft, it doesn't affect your financial or the ledgers. So you will not see those transactions on your ledgers or on your account transactions. So until those invoices are approved, before they will affect your transactions. So whenever you say this invoice, whenever the system creates invoices automatically, that invoice should be created as a draft. Then you can now review it and then you approve it, and before it will affect your transaction. Or you can also say this invoice should be approved automatically. So what happens is that this invoice if you say it should debit account or create invoice every month or every week, depending on the period, whenever that invoice is created, it will automatically be approved and it will affect your transactions during those periods. Then you can also have the option here that this invoice should be approved for sending. What this means is that when the invoice approved, is automated, and the day for the invoice is generated from the system, the invoice will also be sent to the customer instantly. So you don't need to manually send an invoice to the customer via email again. Once you automate this functionality, and then you set up as and when the invoice is due, how often should the invoice be generated and sent to the customer. Okay, so now, and then you can also set the invoice to. So okay, so I can say so invoice to, let me use the Bank West again, or let's use the Ridgeway Bank. Alright, then we also have here reference. So now we are saying that since the reference here and the invoice is going to be repeating, so there should be a unique thing that will make you able to identify which of these invoices is for this purpose. So you can see that the moment you put your cursor on this reference column here, there is a pop-up which is insert a placeholder. When you click on the drop down of that, you can see that we are saying this invoice should be week. The reference should be the week. So you can say, okay, week 1 2023, week 2 2024, or that kind of things. So it will be repeating the week that invoice is generated. Then if it's a month, let's say January or October, November, December, in that order, or year, or week, year, or month, year. For example, when I click on the meaning that this invoice, it will be week 1 of October. Assuming I say no, I don't want that, I can change it to what? To month. So you can see here month, or you can also add, or you want the invoice should be the month, year. So which should be, so that the invoice will be displayed October 2023 as the reference. Then we also have here the standard invoice template that you can choose from. Alright, so now let's set up. So now let's say every month we are providing support to some client. So every month we want this invoice to be sent to this Ridgeway Bank. So we want the system to debit receivable and credit the revenue every month without our involvement. So let's say accounting, or you can say tax advisory for. So now, because this invoice you want it to repeat every month, so you also want that, so when the clients receive the invoice, the client should be able to see which of this period or the year the invoice is due, or is the invoice for. So for example, we want the invoice to read tax advisory for October 2023. So in order to do that, you can see that once you are typing, there's a placeholder at the top here. So you click on the drop down here, click on the month, then again you can space it, then you click again and select the year. So now we are saying that this invoice, whenever it is generated, that month and that year will be shown on the invoice. So for example, since we are doing the first in October, it will be what? Tax advisory for October 2023. Then the quantity as usual, the price, let's say $5,000, and then the revenue account, which is the sales account. Maybe our region, if you are reporting on a segment basis, you can choose this. You can also set up that this invoice should be exclusive of VAT, depending on that. We've learned that earlier. You can also set no tax on that, or exclusive tax. So you can see, and this tab by default is set up as 0, so you can choose the VAT component from here. Okay, then the currencies as well. So if this invoice is in dollars or any other currency, you choose that appropriately. Okay, so now we want one of the invoice to be created immediately. So after we are done with this, and then we can also set a accountancy service again. So you can add as many as you want. So again you click here, month and year. So as you can see here, then 1 year 4,000. So we can start typing the accounts for the transactions. Then when you click on the down here, you can also add as many as line you want, multiple of 5, you see, or maybe you want to insert multiple of 10 lines. So you see, if you don't want them again, you can just click on these lines to click to remove all the lines. So for example, I can click here, so you can see that they are all I am able to remove all the unwanted lines. Alright, so once I'm okay with this, so look, so now we are creating this invoice on every month. So in every month we are creating this invoice, and this invoice should be what, be approved every month. So the first invoice will be created, let's on 5th October, and to be due in 15 days time. Alright, so let's see how it goes. So we can also preview how it will be like. So as you can see here, so you see the first one with tax advisory for October 2023. Remember that if you come back here, we didn't specify anything like October here. So it means that every month that invoice will be generated, the system would automatically indicate that month there as well. So let's go back to the sheet again. So you see accountancy services for October. So we can add for so that you can read well. Good. So you see. So once you're able to set up this once, this invoice will be generated and be shared with the customer as and when this created. So using a placeholder will help people to automate your invoice repeating. You don't have to create this invoice over and over all the time. Once you're okay, let's create save, and we are good to go. So now as you can see here, when you come to the tab here, you can see that there's a tab for repeating invoices. So when you come to this tab here, we are able to see all the invoices that will be repeated and when it will be created. So you can see the name here, Ridgeway Bank, reference, month and year. The amount is this, repeats every 1 month. The next invoice is what, 5th October. So October is today, this invoice will be created. Then the end is December 31st, 2024. What happens to the invoice? The invoice will be approved. Alright, so guys, this is how you're able to create invoices. We have learned in the previous videos how to create code, convert the code into invoices, able to create invoices. Now we've learned how to create what? Repeating invoices. Okay. Alright, so now let's analyze all the sales overview that we have done so far. Since we have created sales issue invoices, you should be able to analyze, see all the invoices that are here. You should also be able to analyze the paid invoices repeating, and then the graph. You can also convert this graph to be in what? A pie chart form. So you can see here, when you hover your cursor around it, it will give you all the details of this. Then with this graph here, these are receivables, so money coming in August, September, October. So you can see here with the various names, customers that owe you. Then you can also see here the codes that have not been converted and those that were sent. Okay, so this is all that we have for today. I appreciate the opportunity to be sharing this video with you. Kindly like it and share it with your friends. Let's keep learning and growing. Subscribe so that you can enjoy more videos from us. Thank you.